close that. I'll play a game. Okay. Let's see. Not going to be rated. I'll try a 30-minute game with a 10-second increment. I'll play anybody. Let's see. Chess. Okay. Ad said 169 players, so somebody will pick it up eventually. So I just sit here and talk to you a little bit. So again, you know, Carlson Caruana drew their 11th game. Maybe Donnie Darkhouse will accept. Nope. Okay. So what do I want to play here? Let's just play e4 and see what happens. Got the Caro-Kann. Okay, I'm ready for that. And I'll play the stuff I was talking about earlier. Okay. So you wonder what goes on my head? What goes on in my head? I'll tell you how I think. Okay, now c3. So queen c7 or knight f6. What's he going to play? What's he going to play? Okay, now bishop f4. Now bishop g4, I play queen b3. So I'm going to show you what I think about when I play a game. If you really want to know, you can my YouTube channel, my simul's. Most of those, I think I covered somebody else's simul once or twice, but for the most part, they're mine. You can see what I'm thinking about. I'm playing unrated. I really don't want a rating. Okay, now he's okay. This makes a little bit of a difference. He shut his bishop in. Okay, so you know, bishop g4. I'm playing queen b3. Now queen b3 doesn't make as much sense. So we have the minority attack position set up. I should be playing for f5. But right now my bishop is in the way. I do need to get castled, and f3 is the better place for the knight, but I think I can maneuver around and get the knight into e5 at some point. And play for my minority attack. So my long-range goal is to, or my short-term goal is to develop my back rank and then to try to play for pawn to f5. So what will he play here? Bishop d6 is an interesting move. I may just take it even though it develops his queen. Okay, so now he's weakened his king side a bit, and he has taken the sting out of an f5. So here, to save time on the clock, before I can conduct any other operations, I'll just get castling done. Okay, now I want to do some more developing here. So I'll put the knight here, and I'll think about rook e1 and maybe knight f1. Or I may go for a knight e5 in at some point. Right now I'm just going to wait developments and see. So he did weaken his kingside pawns a little bit, and he lost a tempo. So you notice I'm ahead in development. I have 4 miners out, he has 3. I've castled, he hasn't. I'm a tempo and a half ahead. Not an F yet to win. Now I can still get a minority attack in with f4 and g4 and f5. I can still get that in later. I'm not ready for it yet. I'm not developed. But I'm getting closer. Okay, so he castled. Okay, so black's plan should be to play for pawn to b4. I'm not going to put my rook on e1 because I want it supporting an f5 break when it comes, so I'll put my queen on e2. Putting it on c2 may eventually, he may plant a rook on c8 and play knight b4. So, get ready for my minority attack. I'll probably be playing knight e5 next turn. And I'm not going to commit my rooks just yet. I don't see any reason to develop my queen rook just yet. Because if he does do a minority attack, I'm going to try to stall it with a3. But he's not ready for b5 yet. So, all I've got is a small development advantage. See, my queen and my queen's bishop are developed. His aren't. A slight advantage. Okay. But black doesn't have any weaknesses in this position. I just have a development advantage. And that'll give me chances. Now, I don't mind this so much. I don't mind trading the dark squared bishop off, but I don't necessarily want to play bishop g3 and let him take it, because then if I go the knight to e5, well, I can't go to the knight to e5. Well, no, I can, but I'm going to have to take back with a pawn. So what I want to do here is I want to try to provoke a weakness. I could play bishop to e3, but if I play bishop g5, I don't mind a bishop trade because I'm getting rid of a dark square bishop. 5 of my 8 pawns are on dark squares. 5 of my 7 pawns are on dark squares. His case, 1 of his pawns is on dark squares. So I don't mind if he plays bishop f6 and we trade bishops. He may put his queen on b3, but I'm not too worried about that. So I'm going to play bishop g5 and see what happens. He might play queen b3 or queen b6, but that forestalls his minority attack a little bit. Okay. And, my objective here is let's leave his knights out there on the rim where it doesn't belong. And we're going to take it from there. So queen b6, how do I want it? If I play knight b3, my knight is pinned to no, it's not pinned to my b pawn. My queen will be protecting it. So you don't see everything right away. Queen b6, knight b3, the idea is I want to put that knight up on c5. Looks like a nice square for a knight. And who knows, I may even, if the opportunity arises, I might play for pawn g4, since I need it to come, to drive his knight back to f6. Since if I want to do the minority attack, I have to drop him back. Okay, so now he did play f6. So if you notice one thing, this knight doesn't have a retreat, knight on h5. If I put my bishop on e3, I'm threatening to trap his knight. See, I'm holding the bishop over the square. If it was white to play, g4 wins his knight. Exposes my king a little bit, but I should be able to survive that. So he has some issues here. This also weakened the e6 square. Now, yes, his bishop's covering it, but e6 is weak. Who's calling me? You got a message. Sorry, I can't talk right now. That message failed to send. Oh well. Okay. So what's he going to do? He needs to create room for his knight to go to. How's he going to do that? He could play e5. That'll weaken the d5 square a little bit. e5, I didn't anticipate that, but might not be a bad move. It's threatening a fork on e4. Protects against g4. Gives the knight an out on f4. They played f5. Okay, so very interesting. E5 was probably a better move. Now my minority attack is gone. However, the aim of the minority attack has been achieved because one of the ideas is advance the f pawn up to f5, trade on e6, and if the pawn takes back, black has an isolated pawn on e6. Well, I mean, not an isolated backward pawn. He's got the backward pawn on e6. So I definitely want to trade dark squared bishops at some point now. I can return to the scene of the crime and put my bishop back on g5 and see what happens. I do have to be a little careful here. Queen b6 attacks my pawn. And my bishop could get hung out to dry over there. Okay. Now queen b6 could be a good move. I didn't do it. Queen b6, he was threatening to play h6. And he's still kind of threatening to play h6. So I need to come up with a good move here. Okay. I just need to make room for my bishop. I could play knight b3. Then he might play f4. I could play knight c5. I got a little problem here. Got too clever with my bishop without thinking. You know, I make mistakes. Let's see, got to sort my way through this one. Let's see. He controls f4 with his knight, his queen, and his rook, so f4 is coming. Let's see. could play bishop h4 right away, and then if h6, his knight is not protected on h5 when he plays g5. Of course, don't know what I want to do here. Well, I'll take my time. So his threat is to play f4 followed by h6 and g5. So one way to handle it is to play something like knight e1. The purpose of knight e1 is to take the sting out of his g5 push, because his knight on h5 would be unprotected. So, to succeed at chess, sometimes you have to see threats before they become, before they happen to you. In other words, if it was black to play here, and it isn't, he could play f4, and my bishop on g5 is in a lot of trouble. So, knight e1, he can play h6, then my bishop goes to g5, or h4. If he plays g5, I take his knight. If he plays knight f4, he might get the bishop pair out of this. Knight f4, queen e3. Ooh, g5. Oh, I pin him though. Yeah, I can get out of this. So knight e1 is the correct move here. He would need some protection for his knight on h5, which it takes 2 moves to get the bishop to e8. It takes 1 move to get the queen to f7. But that gives me time to concoct a defense here. Queen e3 doesn't work because he throws f4 at me. Got my rating 1400. That's where they start you. I don't want a rating. I don't care about a rating. Did play f4. Okay, well, I saw that coming. Now I have an interesting move here. An interesting move is to play g4 right here. What does that do, you ask? Well, if he takes en passant, I can take back with my f-pawn, and I've got to be careful. He might have a sack on g3. But I'm just going to take his rook with check, or I'll take his knight, and he checks me with his queen, and I block with queen g2. So g4 is a very interesting move. All right, I see moves like that. Well, it was something I was thinking about from the moment he put his knight on h5, that maybe I can trap it with g4. So just because I'm not trapping the knight anymore doesn't mean that I can't consider the move, right? Still in my short-term memory, I hope. So g4, I'm okay if he takes en passant. And I could even take back with the h-pawn. But if he retreats his knight, I can just play h3. Well, I don't even have to protect g4. It's not under attack yet. I could take his knight if I wanted. Yeah, I'm pretty sure g4 is the right move. And a move like f3, I don't need to worry about that. There it is, g4. If he plays h3 here, I take his knight, he takes my bishop, I take his g-pawn. Okay, now the question is, which way do I want to take back? I was looking at only the f-pawn, but the h-pawn is an alternative here. Let's see. Okay, pawn. Which pawn? Which pawn do I want to take with? Again, I have to make sure there's no sack on g3. My knight on e1 protects my bishop. Generally, you want to take back with the outside pawn, which is my h-pawn. So maybe I'll just take with the h-pawn. And knight takes g3, pawn takes g3, queen takes g3 check, queen g2, covering all the bases. Let's see. Also have to watch out maybe for some tricks. Can he sack on d4 at any point? Knight takes d4, his bishop gets in there with the check. I think the best way to take is, my initial thing was take with the f-pawn, but I think it's better to take with the h-pawn here. And, my bishop is out of danger. It has e3 to retreat to. Okay. I see if you have a membership on ICC like I've been plugging all these weeks, you could be playing me. I don't know how often I'm going to do this. There's other sites I can play on too. But I could certainly use the practice here. Okay, so bishop d7. Okay, so maybe I want to put my knight on g2. The reason I want to do that is I want to put it on f4 at some point. If he trades, my bishop gets on that diagonal. h2 to b8. I'm pressuring e6. I don't think g4 is all that wise. I'm going to play knight g2. Knight's no longer protecting the bishop on g3, but there's no check, or on d3, but there's no check on g3 if he sacks on g3. And I may even consider a move like f4. No, I can't play f4. It drops g3. Okay, so black has one weakness, a pawn on e6. My minority attack succeeded without me having to play it. The f5 square looks good for him. But he can't get a knight there easily. He can't go to e7 just yet. He would drop the piece. He can't put his bishop on e8. He'll drop the pawn on e6. So interesting, knight takes d4, bishop takes, or pawn takes d4, bishop takes d4. He's also threatening to take on g3. Be getting some pawns for his piece. He'd be pressuring b2, but my gut instinct is black can't do that. It's tough to give up a piece for 3 pawns because the pawns really only have their compensation if they're advanced. They're threatening to bottle your opponent up or become queens. But it's an interesting sack. Knight takes d4, followed by bishop takes d4, but I can play knight to f3 in that position, and I'm attacking his bishop on d4, protecting my pawn on d2 or b2, and if he takes on g3 with his queen, it's not with check, but he would be attacking my bishop. That's an interesting move. Knight takes d4. Knight takes d4, pawn takes, bishop takes. But I also have moves like bishop f4. Just let him have his third pawn. Knight takes f4, knight takes f4. Bishop takes b2. No, I don't think he has enough. Knight takes d4. That's the kind of move you play in blitz chess. Play the e5. Okay, getting rid of its weakness, but giving him a new weakness, an isolated pawn on d5. Okay, so that's only as isolated if I take. Um, activated his bishop a wee bit. Okay. Pawn takes, you can take with the knight. I can give up both bishops here. Let's see. Bishop, only for the knights. Bishop f4. Knight takes f4. Knight takes f4. Knight takes d3. Queen takes d3. I'll be piling up on d5. So I'm going to take on e5. We took with the bishop. Wasn't expecting that. Expecting to take with the knight. Okay, well, my opponents often play moves that I wasn't expecting, and yours will too. Hopefully they didn't play something that crushes you, and you kick yourself for not expecting it. Okay. So does he have a, first thing I ask is, does he have a threat? And I'm not seeing a threat right now. Maybe he wants to play d4 and try to get rid of his isolated pawn. We could consider that a positional threat. I'm looking at knight f3. Keeps my bishop on g5 a little bit safer, opens up some squares it could run back to if need be. I don't necessarily like a move like bishop h6. I don't think it accomplishes much. Knight f3 can play d4. But I'm able to take on e5 then. And I'll get the bishop pair. Maybe he's trying to sack on g3 so that his knight can take it and win the exchange. Or, I'm sorry, give up 2 pieces for the rook, but get a couple of pawns for it. So that might be his idea behind taking back there. My question is, do I want to allow that or disallow it? Of course, knight f3, knight takes g3, or knight f3, bishop takes g3. I don't have to take his bishop. I'll be giving up a pawn. So let's see. Gotta work here. Okay, let's see. I have that G4 move again. It's a very interesting move, G4. Bishop H2, check, King H1. My king is lined up for a fork on G3, but my F2 pawn is holding it. G4, bishop check, King H1, bishop F4. Can he play that? I guess he could. Bishop takes, knight takes. Knight takes, queen takes. Now he's on G4. How well his knight takes G3. Gets 2 pawns. I have 2 for the one. He has 2 passed H pawns. G4. I'm liking it more and more. So there it is. Do your worst. Not if you get to play G4 twice in one game, huh? See, if he puts his knight back on G7, I can throw F4 at him and push him back a little bit. Okay, so what's happening here? What's he gonna do here? Might be able to get rid of his isolated pawn if he trades on f4 and pushes d4 when it's all over. Ooh. Now my second bishop to g5 was a lemon, but I've done that before. Okay. I got about, what, 10.5 minutes to get a 10-second increment, so 10-second increment isn't that much. So knight f4. I should probably trade twice on f4 and play f3. He can't do that. He can't do that, but he did it. Okay, check. What's he doing? I don't see why. I don't see what he has.
Check.
Okay, he has that. Is he planning knight e5? Gave up a piece here. I mean, I didn't mention it, but I looked at it and said he couldn't do it. Yeah, like I say, sometimes they do things that you didn't see, and you kick yourself for allowing it. Interesting moves. Yeah, game 30 is too slow or too fast for me.
Check.
Where's it going? I just take another piece, don't I? Or I have to take it. I could play king takes h2, but that doesn't look any good. So what am I missing? Pawn takes. I picked up 2 pieces. Let's see. can attack my queen with knight e5. When I take with the pawn, oh, you resigned. Huh, game over. That's strange. Okay. Well, thanks for playing. Okay. I gotta, supposed to, there's some setting that allows you to examine directly. So I love my channel. Okay. Thanks. Okay. Well, thanks for being there. Let's see. I want to examine this game. Yeah. Okay. Let's, oops. Shrink it down and enlarge it slightly. There we go. Okay, so I was clearly not seeing anything here. I was optimistic about being 2.5 tempo or a tempo and a half ahead. So this may be a mistake. I was looking at this move. Okay, now the point is that, see, this bishop doesn't have a whole lot going over here. H6, G5. Now, I can go play this move. I don't have to play that move. I can play this move. But, you know, this retreats and this thing's gone. So I think this was a sharper move. You know, on this, with the idea of taking this next. Knight e5. Now this is coming. This is the problem. And if I go back here, I run into this. Queen b6, and maybe I'm in trouble. I just underestimated. See, I overlooked this f4 move directly. You know, see, this is the problem. I guess maybe I can do this. I get my pawn structure riddled. Not exactly what I was looking for. Let's see. I know I was considering something like that during the game, but he just goes here directly. You know, you delay this move. Okay, so now where am I going to put this guy? Oh wait, no, I have this. I have this retreat. What am I thinking? Okay, right. Okay, okay. So now, yeah. Now, if he does this, maybe I have this G4 move again. Tricky, very, very tricky stuff. So, Queen C7 may be better, but I have to make, you know, I have to have, you know, counterplay against this when this stuff comes. I went there. I just love moves like this when you can get away with them. See, knight f6. You know, if I have to just play this, you know, my position's a little sloppy, but, you know, his isn't that dynamic either. Originally I was going to take this way, but I actually like this better. That turn actually is a good move, I think. But the one I was looking at as an alternative, I mean, this is interesting. Takes, takes, takes. Okay, so black is threatening to take this. Black is threatening to take this. I mean, I can counterattack, but he can still do this move. Now, if I take this, I drop this. And he has a lot of pawns here. Let's see. I guess I could take this. I don't think he has enough pawns here. See, I'm on his queen. Yeah, he doesn't have enough pawns here. This is no good for him. So knight f3, he would need to take this. Now he's got 3 pawns, but I'm leery about giving him 3 pawns. He only has 1 passed pawn currently. I can just play this, and I have an extra piece now, and my bishop isn't getting bottled up. This is good for me. Okay, so takes, g4. That just doesn't seem right. I think what he needs to do is go here. Now trade.
Check.
I hate to trade queens,
Check.
but now maybe he gets rid of this one weakness here, unless I push by and try to surround it. Let's see. I don't know if I don't think the check helps. Let's see. See, the point is, after the trades here, I have to stop and take care of this guy. So maybe I can't trade on f4. Or do I have to? Let's see. My queen's under attack. If I take with the bishop, I can do this. I don't have to swap down. I can now play this. And, willing to play with the 2 knights. Now I've stopped this idea. I just don't think he has enough down here. So I think this is what I was steered for now. Isolated pawn, 1 weakness. It's a fight. It's a fight. So let's go back to knight g5. Or I'm sorry, knight h5. That was on move 10. Let's see. Okay. I think what I need to do is just this. Of course, he's playing for e4 here too. I've seen this in the Caricon when they just pile up, but I have an f3 at some point to kick him out. Yeah, this is. I didn't think when I played bishop g5 so quickly. Okay, I'm gonna stop this recording.